Claude Cowork is just one example of how AI assistants are changing the way we interact with our tools and data, allowing AI to access our local environment and perform actions like reading, writing, and organizing files, ultimately helping automate tasks that would otherwise take much more time to complete manually. With Vonage's tooling MCP server, we can take that even further by giving AI access to Vonage's APIs, allowing it to send messages across channels like SMS, RCS, and WhatsApp, send voice messages, create and manage your Vonage applications, and check your Vonage account information just from a prompt. In this demo, we'll look at how to use Claude Cowork and Vonage's tooling MCP server to read and write customer data from a local spreadsheet and automatically send them personalized SMS messages. Let's get the tooling server installed in Claude Desktop. The setup instructions are also in the README of the server's GitHub if you'd like to follow that instead. It'll be linked in the description below. Make sure you have the latest version of Claude Desktop installed on your computer. You'll also want to make sure that you have Node installed as well. Lastly, you'll need a Vonage developer account, but more on that later. Next, open the Claude Desktop application and sign in if needed. Click the Claude menu on the computer's menu bar and then click Settings. In Settings, find the Developer tab, and then click Edit Config. This will create a new file in Claude's application folder called claude-desktop-config.json. On macOS, this file is in library/application-support/Claude, while on Windows, it's in appdata/Claude. By the way, all of this information is in Anthropic's docs and linked in the description below. So make sure to check the link if you run into any issues with these steps. Open that file in an IDE or text editor of your choice. Here, paste in the following tooling MCP configuration. You can copy this directly from the server's README on GitHub. As you'll see, you'll need to fill in this configuration file with your Vonage credentials, which you can get from the Vonage developer dashboard. If you don't have an account already, you can sign up now and get one up and running in minutes. From your homepage, click API Secrets Management. From here, you can copy your API key and API secret and paste them into the configuration file. You'll also need application credentials to access Vonage capabilities. To create a new application, go to Build, then Applications. Click Create a new application and give your application a name. Next, click Generate Public and Private Key. The private key will automatically download onto your machine. Under Capabilities, make sure to toggle on any of the features you want your application to have access to. For this example, I'm going to toggle on Messages since we'll demonstrate how to send a text message in this video. Next, click Generate New Application. This will generate the application ID. Copy your application ID and paste it in the Claude Desktop configuration file. You'll also want to add the private key that was just downloaded onto your computer. However, before you paste it, you'll need to base64 encode it. Use the encoder linked in the tooling server's README, or encode with the command line tool of your choice, and then paste that into the configuration file as well. The last three key value pairs here pertain specifically to Vonage's messaging capabilities. For instance, if you'd like to send a WhatsApp message, you would populate the WhatsApp number field with your WhatsApp business number. In this particular example, we're just going to work with simple text messages, so you'll want to populate the Vonage virtual number field with your virtual number. This is the number that your text will be sent from. If you don't have one already, you can get a new number from the Phone Numbers tab under Build. You'll then need to link that number to your application. If you're in the US, make sure you're following the additional instructions to ensure your number is 10DLC compliant. With all this information filled out, let's make sure we save the file, and then we'll need to restart Claude so that all the changes apply. To confirm that it was installed correctly, we can create a new chat and ask, do you have access to Vonage's tooling server? And Claude should confirm as well as list some of its capabilities. Now we're ready to start using the tooling MCP server. But before we do, we'll actually want to switch over to Cowork mode since we'll be utilizing its capabilities. In our demo, let's pretend you run a restaurant. When your customers leave, you send them a text asking them for feedback on their experience. You then save their response as well as some other information about them, like their name and phone number, in a spreadsheet on your computer. There's also a status column that tells us if the feedback has been addressed yet. Let's assume this is already in place in a file called Restaurant Feedback in a folder called Operations. We won't get into the details of how this is set up. Using Claude Cowork, we can create a task that reads the spreadsheet and looks for any messages with the status of pending, then uses AI to formulate a custom response to each of those customers, and saves the response to the spreadsheet. If the feedback seems positive, the response should say, "We're glad you had a positive experience." If it seems negative, the response should say, "We're sorry you had a negative experience." Then, when we're ready, it sends a response to each customer as an SMS using Vonage's tooling MCP server. And finally, it updates the status on the spreadsheet to sent. To make things easier, let's also instruct it to generate the responses when the string generate responses is prompted, and use the string send responses to actually send the SMS messages. So we don't have to instruct Claude each time we want to send these responses. We can create a file in the operations folder called claude.md and store the instructions there. Claude.md is just a plain text markdown file where you can store these instructions for this very reason. By the way, you can use Claude to help you create a Claude.md file, which is what I did here. I think we're ready to test it out. Back in Cowork mode, let's create a new task. On the bottom left corner of the prompt box, click Work in a Project. From there, select the Operations folder. Now, let's run Generate Responses. Claude will show us that there are 3 messages with a pending status, and we'll use AI to determine the sentiment of their feedback to determine what to respond. Now we can run Send Responses, and the messages will be sent to each user. We can also go back to our spreadsheet and see that the status has been changed to Sent. If you wanted to, you can go much further than this with Vonage's tooling MCP server. In addition to saving more information about the message we sent, like the time it was sent, its read and delivered statuses, etc., we could have used the server to send an automated voice call to the user instead. Vonage is committed to providing developers with access to the latest AI technologies. For more information on Vonage's tooling MCP server and any future AI capabilities, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel and check out our blog at developer.vonage.com.